Derby City Classic 2025. I was there and I played in all events. This means in the banks, in the one pocket, and also in the 9-ball. And this right here is a round 4 9-ball match against over 700 Fargo rated player Josh Burble, who you maybe know from the Slate Billiard Club, either from playing there in real life or from his YouTube channel, where he's making very entertaining and also educational videos on how to play pool. Well, this is a race to 9. It's winner breaks and we have to use the break box, and the 9 is racked on the spot with the template rack. So a very important match for both of us, because I think we both lost already one match at this stage. I just got out of a match before this match where I played really bad against another, I think Fargo 730 or something like that player, where I definitely had a lot of chances to win, but I just couldn't make a single ball. So this is now a very important match for me. We're playing downstairs at the main stage, not the TV table, but the main stage where most of the people are. So, you know, pressure is always on, but especially playing at the Derby, pressure is always really high for me, because so many people know me there and so many people talk to me and wanted to watch my matches. So I'm really under pressure whenever I'm playing there. So at this point I couldn't really perform to my standards. Very disappointing. I will tell you a bit more about how the banks and the 9-ball went. I can tell you so much. I had to play against Joshua Filler. I'm also going to share this video on YouTube. But we are going to just talk about this whole match. I'm going to talk you through my shot selection. I'm just doing commentary, but you have the advantage that you will actually hear from the player who's at the table, which is me right now. I'm talking you through what's going on in my mind. So let's dive right into it. So I have an open shot on the 1-ball, but it's the very first rack, and getting position, not only making the 1-ball, but getting position to the 2-ball right around where my cue stick was at the table is very difficult. And especially in the beginning of matches, I don't want to miss anything. I want to stay in control, and this is why I decided to not take that shot on, but just to play a safety, which was really good in this case, because not only did I get the 1-ball to the short rail, I also hooked the cue ball behind that 3-ball. So you can see how much of a difference this would make if I would take that on, which probably has around 20% to pull that one off with position on the 2-ball on the very first shot. But you can see how much of a difference this makes to stay on control, to not play a bad shot in the beginning, because especially the beginning of a match can set the whole tone of the match, the whole mental mindset. So for me it's very important to not do anything stupid, just play the percentages, and this is why I went for the safety here. So Josh has to play probably a 1 or 2 rail kick shot, depends on if he's hitting the 1-ball first or after he made contact with the short rail. I would say he has a chance to make it into the bottom left pocket if he's going the way to the right, but he changed his mind. He's going to the other side, maybe because hitting the ball is a bit easier. And if he kicks from 2 rails from behind, he even has a chance to play a kick and stick. But very first shot for him on this table, he's not used to the rails yet, and you can see my safety paid off. I have ball in hand on the 1-ball, and just compare this shot now where I just can gain some confidence. I have an open table apart from the 3-ball, which is gonna be a bit tricky, but I have an open table to start with and I haven't made a mistake yet. This is very important, especially for me. I noticed whenever I'm playing matches and I'm making a couple of silly mistakes in the beginning, I lose a lot of confidence. I know this is a mental problem, but I'm trying to work around this mental problem by just playing the percentages in the beginning. So here I want to have a good angle on the 2-ball, and I got the right angle, because now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get position. As you can see right here, just go around 2 rails to play that 3-ball into the same corner pocket. The angle on the 2-ball was very important, that I have that kind of angle where the cue ball is drifting to the left. Yeah, a bit of a scratch, but since I'm 6.3, that's very reachable. You can see, just used a touch of left spin here, no stun to bring the cue ball around. That way speed control is a lot easier. And I almost got perfect. The only problem is I have to somehow get position on that orange 5 ball, and the cue ball is a bit in danger to drift behind that 9 ball. So I decide here to, as you can see, draw the cue ball into the 9 ball. I just have to play a very soft draw shot, you can see. That way I never get behind that 9 ball. If the angle would be a bit bigger, this would have not been possible, but the angle was still good enough to just do that, and now I finally have an open table. But this is not over yet. It's a bit tricky because I don't want to end up straight on the 6 ball. This would require a hero shot to draw the cue ball all the way back. I'm just a bit too straight to bring the cue ball any closer to the 6 ball and keep the cue ball on the long rail to the left, which would be a good angle to come around. This is why I'm deciding to draw the cue ball back. And this is perfect. Was a bit dangerous with the 8 ball, but as I mentioned, I didn't want to end up straight on the 6 ball. Now, low right, probably leave the cue ball at the center of the table or go 2 rails. This would have also been nice. Yeah, still a bit struggling with the speed control because now I ended up straight on the 7 ball, and you don't want to end up straight because now you can see all I can do is just draw the cue ball back. The cue ball at the center of the table would have been nice, then I could have gone just 2 rails, and here I have to draw the cue ball back, and all of a sudden I find myself in this very, very tricky situation because I just underdrew the cue ball, because maybe I was a bit afraid of overdrawing, maybe I just didn't hit low enough. I can't remember at this point, but this is why you always want to have a nice and natural angle. So, tricky little shot. I'm not too sure if I can avoid that corner pocket on the short rail if I'm just rolling that in. Oh yes, I could. Try to go for the side pocket if the cue ball stops here, or for the corner pocket. Cue ball just a bit too fast, so you can see I'm still struggling with speed control at this point. But good news is I still have a makeable 9 ball, not the 9 ball you want to have at the beginning of a match. We still haven't settled yet, and I obviously haven't figured out the speed of the table yet, but just focus on making that one. This is such an important shot already, and made it into the heart of the pocket. So very, very good first track to gain some confidence. I even made some difficult shots. I haven't figured out the table yet 100%. Speed control is still a bit tricky, but as you see, the very first shot, if I would have just taken that long 1 ball on, tried to play that hero shot, I could have completely messed things up. Josh would have gotten the chance maybe at an open table and gained some confidence, and now it's vice versa. I've gained some confidence. Josh just had 1 shot, 1 kick shot where he made the foul, and this is a very, very important start. So, round 4, 9 ball. I'm going to share, as I mentioned, a couple of more matches. I can tell you that I went out in the banks in round 4 and also in the 1 pocket in round 4, which was a bit disappointing because I had the feeling there is a bit more in me, especially in the banks. But in round 3 I had to play against Joshua Filler, which is a very cool match, a nice experience. And in round 4 I played against Eric Roberts, a really young and strong player. It was an insane match. I'm gonna share that one as well with you. Took like 40 minutes for a bank pool race to 3 match, so you can imagine how well he shot, and a very, very cool bank match that you definitely should watch whenever I'm uploading it on YouTube. And also in the 1 pocket I lost a match that I was never supposed to lose, and then yeah, it was tricky. I mean, 1 pocket is not my strongest game, as well as bank pool. I'm playing this just once a year whenever I'm at the derby. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing to just get out in round 4, because I really think the games are both growing on me, and I would have loved to continue playing those 2 games for a bit more, but it is how it is. And I'm gonna tell you how it went in the 9 ball after this match. So, Josh got to the table, but luckily he didn't have, or luckily for me, he didn't have an open view on the one ball, so he decided to push. So I can only hit the right side of the one ball, and you can see I'm trying to find a path where I could eventually, or perhaps, bring the cue ball all the way down to the short rail where the 5 ball is, to have the snooker behind the 9 and the 8. But I'm a bit afraid of the 6 ball, because the 1 is gonna bump into the 6 ball, it's gonna stay there, and then the 6 ball is gonna come back, either hit the cue ball or kick the 1 ball out. So I'm not too sure if I should actually take that on. You can see I'm trying to go down, figure out if I really want to take it on, and I eventually decided nope, I don't like this shot, so I want to see what Josh got there. So he has to work with the same contact point on the 1 ball, because he only can hit that point on the 1 ball, and the 1 ball is inevitably going to go into that 6 ball. Yeah, you can see it's a tricky situation. And I think he did something different than I was trying, or I had in mind. So let's have a look what he's doing. He's hitting it soft, and it was a pretty good shot. If he actually tried to get behind that 6 ball, that was a very, very good shot. Alright, I see an edge of that 1 ball, so I think the only chance I have here is to probably just graze the 1 ball and bring the cue ball, in the best case 2 rails behind that 3 ball. So this gotta be on point, because if I don't get the snooker behind that 3 ball, then the 1 ball is gonna be cuttable into the side pocket. So here you gotta concentrate 100% on the cue ball. This is very, very important. And this was a horrible shot, to be honest. That was really, really bad. I was so close to the 1 ball. This was never supposed to happen. And unfortunately, I scratched. So, open table for Josh. It's a bit tricky. You can see from the 1 ball to the 2 ball, you have to go to the 3 ball. So, you could probably play that 1 ball into the side pocket. You need to pass the 7 ball to have an angle on the 2 ball, but you can't get too close to the 2 ball, so you have a long shot. And then you have to get all the way back to the 3 ball, because it's not hanging in front of the pocket. It's a bit too close to the short rail. This means you can't just leave the cue ball center table. You have to actually bring the cue ball down table or back into the kitchen again. And this is why Josh decides here to play a safety shot where he maybe could go for 3 fouls. But yeah, messed up unfortunately, and leaves me the 1 ball open. So yeah, I don't blame him for taking on the safety shot. I mean, he hasn't played an offensive shot yet, and this is a very tricky layout. So maybe he tried to settle, maybe to just put me a bit under pressure, but unfortunately he left it open and I have an open shot. The thing is here, what I have to do, or what I'm trying to do, is I'm going 1 rail. Hopefully I'm bumping full into that 4 ball, because it's the only chance I have, and this is very natural. And just a bit too little left spin, or just cut the 1 ball a bit too thin, and this is why I now snookered myself behind that 2 ball. So 1 rail kick it is. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to probably hit low on the cue ball and trying to maybe stick the cue ball behind the 2 ball, behind the 4 ball, and send the 2 ball maybe up table. But I just want to have a good and full contact, trying to somehow leave the cue ball there and just get separation. Yeah, cut it a bit too thin, and because of that I made the 2 ball into the corner pocket, but I can't see that 3 ball. But I'm still at the table, I haven't sold out, the scratch was also on, so yeah, I still can do something. And here what I'm trying to do is I have a makeable kick shot on that 3 ball. I wanna once again play a kick and stick. This time it's a bit easier because the 3 ball is a bit closer to the rail, and the free ball is probably going into the direction of the side pocket. So if this would have been 10 ball, I would definitely call the free ball into the side pocket. But in the best case, I leave the cue ball down here, avoid the side pocket, and send the free ball down table to the 5. But I made it into the side pocket. And yes, it's not that bad, but I now have a very, very long 4 ball, which is very missable again. But here, once again, I think position is not that difficult this time. I just have to play high on the cue ball, and the safety is a bit more tricky than before on the 1 ball. This is why I'm this time going for the 4 ball, and I'm already feeling a bit better at this point. We're already in Rec 2, we're playing for a couple of minutes already, and this is why I made that 4 ball, but unfortunately the cue ball is frozen to the rail and the 5 ball is frozen to the rail, so I can't do anything with the cue ball. Safety once again is not really there, so I just have to roll that 5 ball in. And here you can see I want to know exactly which angle I want to have on the 6 ball. This is very, very important, because now I can control where the cue ball is going to stop. Do I want to play a stop shot? Do I want to draw a bit back? Or do I want to follow? So even those tiny things are very, very important, because I want to have it as natural as possible on that 6 ball. This is why I really want to go behind the line and look where the cue ball has to be. And many beginners would just roll that ball in and don't really look which angle is good. And here I just had to roll it in and have now this angle on the 6 ball. And I'm not trying to make that 6 ball here, because this is awfully difficult. This is so missable. And if I'm going for that 6 ball, I will have a bit of a longer 7 ball. And it's still so difficult. This is why I once again decide to play a safety shot, because I don't want to lose control. After all the work I already had to do, I don't want to lose control. So let's have a look at the safety. Good shot. Of course, I tried to get behind the 8-9, but the important thing is the 6 ball is at the short rail, so I didn't sell out. Yes, I left an open shot. He can gain the initiative, he can gain the upper hand now, but I didn't sell out. I didn't try to take the ball on, missed it, lost control. I still just have left him a difficult, difficult shot. And you can see, because of that and because he's still not in stroke, this was effective enough to create a chance for me, because now I have the 6 ball into the side pocket. So you can see a safety is often, even if you don't get the full safety, even against strong players, it's often an effective one and much better than just trying to play a hero shot once again on the 6 ball, miss that one and lose control. So here a bit, I think I have a bit of a wrong angle. I think the cue ball is going to drift too much towards the right side of the 8. So I have to play a very soft draw shot, because the 8 ball obviously doesn't pass into the corner pocket where I'm just standing. Yeah, you can see I had to draw it back softly, because otherwise the cue ball would have drifted even more to the right. And now I have the 8 ball where I'm definitely going to bump into the 8. I think the 9 ball is going to go towards the corner pocket, but I want to play it soft enough that it stays around the corner pocket if I don't make it into the corner pocket. So very, very important. You want to play it very soft. And you can see, even if the 9 ball doesn't go, it will stay somewhere in front of the corner pocket. And I made it 2-0. So once again, I didn't take on any silly shot. I stayed in control, and this is what really counts. This is what really gives yourself the confidence, because you're not making any silly mistakes. By the way, shout out to everyone I met during this trip at the Derby, and also during my trip at Atlanta, where I was at Mr. Q's 2. I was in Chops Billiard in Nashville. I was in so many different pool halls. It was great. Met so many great people there. Met so many great people at the Derby. Played some good matches. Had a lot of fun. I was in the USA for like almost 3 weeks. It was really a great time, and I'm looking forward to be there back very, very soon. Maybe to actually do some real clinics at Jacksonville, where my main sponsor, J Flowers, is. So I will announce that on Facebook if I have some dates. So let's get back to the match. Okay, that was a bad break. That was really not good. Cue ball went directly into the side pocket. But the good news is, I think, did I leave something open? Well, it's tricky. I think the 1 ball goes into the corner pocket. Then it's a bit tricky from the 2 ball to the 3 ball because the 6 ball is a bit in the way. Then you have to play that combo. You can see at the short rail. Is it the 4-8? Probably. So still a tricky rack here. But the first time he had some initiative on the table. And this is a clever shot. You can see he bumped into the 6 ball to have some space for the 3 ball. So a very, very clever shot. But it's still not over yet. He has to probably get the same angle on the 3 ball that he has right now. So just 1 rail, stun into the long rail, get a bit out. This is fine. Cue ball now goes to the right. Now very important, you want to have the cue ball above that straight line where he is right now. Because if the cue ball is below, then it's very, very difficult to see that angle of the combination and to also hold the cue ball and all that stuff. So you definitely want to be above the line. And yeah, a bit of a decel. Now Josh is below the line, which makes the combo a bit more difficult to see, but it's still a doable combo. And just didn't drop. Maybe just because of that. Maybe because he played it a bit too fast. Maybe because the pockets were a bit tight. But he left that ball hanging and gave myself, or I have the chance now to make it 3-0. I have to play it right-handed. You don't want to play that too hard because you don't want to lose that 4 ball. If the 4 ball goes to the short rail, it's tricky, it's dangerous. So this is why you want to play it soft. Now, once again, I have to play that right-handed. And probably going to try to play that 6 ball into the side pocket where I'm just standing. Caught that a bit too thin. This is why I lost the cue ball a bit. I mean, you could also have gone a bit further and played a 6 ball into the lower right corner pocket. Maybe this shot would have been the right shot. I'm not too sure. For the side pocket, on the one hand, you didn't have to move the cue ball a lot. For the corner pocket, on the other hand, you have a bit of a bigger position zone for the cue ball. But it's still not over yet. I have a tricky cut into the side pocket. I have to let the cue ball run a bit around the table. But it's still a natural path for the cue ball where I don't have to manipulate that much. And cue ball needs to travel. Yeah, hit it a bit too shy. I can still cut that 7 ball into the side pocket, but a bit further would have been nice, where I just had to play a stop shot into the side pocket. Now I have to let the cue ball travel a bit, and it's a bit tricky because I think the natural 2-rail path was heading exactly into that 9 ball. So what I was trying to do here is to manipulate the cue ball with inside spin, to slow the cue ball down, to hold it on the right side, but I played that really, really horrible. I mean, the rails are still slippery at that point, so they don't take the spin that much. So on a different kind of table with different conditions, this could have ended up in a completely different space, but I got away with it. I have a bit of a longer 9 ball, a bit of a tester, but still, this is a 9 ball you just have to be able to make from any position on the table because this is a standard money ball. And yeah, I got a bit lucky here, I have to say, and it's 3-0 in favor of me. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, if you want to see more matches from the Derby, if you want to see more videos of this channel, then maybe consider to leave a thumbs up on this video, consider to subscribe to the channel, activate all bell notifications to not miss a single upload. And of course, if you want to see more, leave a comment down below. So, 3-0, my break once again, and as I mentioned in the beginning, the break is really tricky if you're not used to playing with the break box. I know Joshua Villa had a really easy time with the break because he's playing all the time with the break box, and he broke like with absolute perfection, especially on the TV table. It was insane. I don't know if you have seen the post yet. I think he won 9-0 against Shane Van Boning within like 27 minutes with 8 break-in runs. He played flawless on a TV table, break-in runs all the time. That was crazy. So if you know how to break, it's might easy, but for me, I'm not playing that very often. It was very difficult, and I couldn't really figure out until my very last match how you actually have to break here. Once again, I got away with it. I didn't make a ball on the break, but the 5 ball I think is blocking the path to the 1 ball. Otherwise, it would have been an open layout. And you have to think from Josh's perspective. He didn't have a lot of open shots yet. He had an open table, I think, once, where he just missed that combination shot. So it's very difficult at this point to really have some confidence, to really find into the match. So whoever has not played out there, has not played at the Derby City or on big events, on those tables where you know it's streamed, under those conditions, you should definitely go out there. It's interesting. It's really interesting what happens with your mental game, with the pressure and all that stuff. As I mentioned, I played my matches before. A couple of matches, this is round 4 already, where I played like an absolute beginner because I just couldn't handle the mental pressure. It's really insane. This was a really good shot, by the way. Hats off, very good shot. Caught the right side, brought the cue ball in a perfect space and left me only with a jump shot. What can I do with the jump? Well, I can hit the right side of the 1 ball. I'm probably not trying to make it. You can see I can hit it like that, bring the cue ball down table once again, maybe behind that 3 ball if I'm hitting it very thin. If I'm going for a fuller contact, the cue ball might passes the 6 ball, the 7 ball, at a 1 ball, goes down table, cue ball stays up table. So you have to actively decide. Even if you're jumping, you want to decide how you want to hit it. This is very important. Don't just jump blindly and then just try as well with kick shots. You always want to decide which part of the ball you want to hit, even on kick shots. This is very important to at least make a decision. And this was a foul. I definitely hit that 7 ball first, otherwise the cue ball should the 7 ball should not have moved. Josh is asking me actually if it was a foul. I didn't really see it in the match because when I'm jumping, I'm not really having everything in my eyesight. He was asking if it was a foul. I told him it wasn't, and I'm really sorry once again, Josh, if you're watching this. It was definitely a foul. You should have gotten ball in hand. I'm really sorry. I already actually sent him an email where I apologized when I was reviewing this match. This was definitely a foul, so really sorry. Okay, he played a save on me though, because he had a few on that 1 ball, and I'm not too sure if I can actually see that 1 ball. It would be nice if I can see that left edge to bring the cue ball at a 1 ball to the short rail. But there is a lot of traffic with the 8 ball, with the 7 ball. So it's very tricky to not run into those balls. I think the 8 ball is the biggest blocker here. It's very difficult to avoid that. So let's see how this one turns out. Good news is at least I can see the 1 ball, which is very important here. Yeah, I brought the 1 ball at least to the short rail. Hit the 8 ball, as I mentioned, was a really big ball, but luckily I didn't leave anything open because I got the 1 ball kind of into the area where I wanted to. But Josh once again has the initiative, so he has to play a really good safety, maybe split the balls, bring the cue ball behind that 3 ball, just like that, and we'll leave the 1 ball behind the 4-9. Big question now is, do I have the 1 rail escape? Yes, it looks like I probably have, so you can see a tiny bit of cue ball difference. If the cue ball is just a bit closer behind that 3 ball, I don't have that 1 rail path, and it's a lot tougher for me because now what I'm trying to do is... Oh, I don't have the 1 rail path. My bad. I have to kick it 2 rails, and I probably try to kick the 1 ball towards the short rail, I would assume. I mean, if I hit the left side of the 1 ball, the cue ball is gonna go to the short rail and the 1 ball towards the 2-3. So let's see how this eventually ends. Oh, I caught it really thin, so miss-hit it, avoided the foul, and left it open. But once again, you can see I got lucky. I'm not too sure if you can make that 1 ball without scratching. You probably can. Either with follow or low, avoid that side pocket. But if you want to get position on a 2 ball, then you have absolutely no chance. Because if you're hitting hard, the cue ball would have always followed the tangent line. And the tangent line was pointing into the side pocket. This is why Josh decided to just make that 1 ball and play a safety on the 2 ball. And he has a very good safety. Cue ball behind that 3 ball, 1 ball to the other side. But once again, he also hasn't figured out the table 100% yet. This was a bit too hard and he left the 2 ball open. And I think it's even cuttable into the side pocket. It's a tricky cut. I might even have to play it with a touch of inside spin to not end behind that 8-9. Maybe I can just play a really soft high ball, come 1 rail out with a shot on the 3 ball. Yeah, I think this was just a high ball and I have an open shot. Here a bit tricky because I have to either draw back for the 4. I have a bit of an angle to the left. So I fear that the cue ball might gonna drift a bit towards to the left. This is why I'm deciding to play this one with low. No? Can see? Changing my mind. Should have probably stood up, recollect once again. So this was kind of a mistake, but played it really nice. 1 rail out and have a straight in shot on the 4 ball. Now you can see what I'm doing is very important. I'm not just playing a stop shot going over. I want to see what the best possible angle is. So a stop shot would be fine, yes. But if the cue ball just travels a tiny bit forward, I have a bit of an easier cut into the side pocket. I can get a bit closer to the 6 ball. So you can see just 1 revolution further makes a difference. So if you have the chance to improve your position without sacrificing anything, without sacrificing your shot making percentage, then definitely go for it. Those tiny differences can increase your percentages by a tiny bit. But as I mentioned 100 of times on this channel, you're playing so many shots in a match of pool. So every little percentage that you can increase, you just have to do. This is very important. And especially when you're playing in a match. When you're in practice, you're very likely to make all the tough shots as well. But in a match, it's a completely different story. So here, very important, I want to be on the right side of the 7 ball. I want to be above the 7 ball. So I have to play it low left with a high quality draw stroke. That's nice. Was it far enough? Straight would be horrible. Perfectly straight would be horrible. But I think I have a bit of an angle to the left. So I'm going high because it's a bit too little angle to stun over and I don't want to cheat the pocket too much because then I can miss. So just high, touch of left spin, 2 rails, nice angle on the 8 ball. The ball in hand angle would be just a bit less angle, but this is still fine. So Here I'm deciding, or I remember I decided to go the textbook route. This means use some right spin, hit around one diamond away from the side pocket and then come into the line of the 9-ball. But I should have gone just one rail in that case because I was a bit afraid of missing that way. I didn't really, or I wasn't convinced that I'm gonna make the ball with the right amount of spin. This is why I put too little spin on the cue ball, and this is why I'm now completely lost position. So even though this was the textbook way to go 2 rails with inside spin because you're coming into the line, I just didn't feel it, and I had the feeling that I'm more likely to miss the 8-ball. This is why I decided to use less spin, but instead of using less spin, I just should have gone 1 rail with just high or a touch of outside spin. Yes, you're not going into the line, but you have more control. And this is now a very missable 9-ball just of this mental mistake that I just did. Unfortunately, my shot making is pretty solid so far in this match, so I could pull this one off. But this was a perfect example for a mental mistake where I just should just have stood up, recollect, either visualize the shot a bit more, be convinced of my decision with the inside spin, play the actual spin, or if I just don't feel it, just take the 1 rail route because it's also very manageable to control. So those are, it seems like those are tiny things that I'm talking about, or tiny decisions or tiny things with the cue ball placement. But as I mentioned, you're so much under pressure if you're competing out there, especially at that stage, that you also once again want to consider all those things, want to have a clear mind, want to have a clear decision, don't want to second guess yourself, and just play the right shots at the moment. And sometimes the right shot, when I'm for example here or at a pool hall, at my local pool hall, a house tournament with big pockets, then I would always go for that inside spin shot. But here, yes, the pockets weren't that tight, but I just was a bit afraid, so here in that case I just should have gone 1 rail. Okay, enough talking, enough whining, let's have a look at the next rack. Yeah, not a bad break. You can see I'm so annoyed. I made the wing ball, I just hit a bit too full on the 1 ball or a bit too low. So still not a textbook break, at least I got some action, but the second scratch in a row. But look at this, look at the layout once again. I got lucky once again. Whenever I'm making a mistake on the break, whenever I'm scratching, Josh has a really difficult time to clear that table. He either has to play combinations, he has to solve problems. It's always very difficult and tricky. He's trying to save me here behind that 8-ball and open something up. Very good, very clever shot. So made total sense. So you can see he's playing very clever so far. Just had a bit of yeah, I would say bad luck. Sometimes missed a shot here and there, made a mistake. But overall he's a very intelligent player, I have to say. So I think the only shot I have left is the 2-railer here. But I think the 2-railer is not what I'm trying to go for, but the 3-railer. So trying to go to the short rail, to the long rail, to the short rail once again. Then catch the left side of the 1 ball, bring the cue ball back down table and the 1 ball to the short rail. Because making the 1 ball into the corner pocket, I need to use too much right spin for that, I think. And it actually makes the ball a bit bigger if I'm going for the 3-rail escape. But it's very difficult to reach as a left-handed player. So I have to use the bridge. And the thing is, what will happen afterwards? I don't know if the 4-ball is actually cuttable from the left side rail. And then from the 4 you have to create something on the 5. So even if I make a foul, this is not over yet. This is still a tricky rack. So I'm using everything here. I'm using the extension, I'm using the bridge, and you can see I'm using this technique where I'm bridging not like you usually use the mechanical bridge, but I'm bridging like I'm playing a regular shot, and almost hit it, but I have to say speed was bad. It was a bit too soft in that case. Should have used a touch more right spin or hit a bit closer to the short rail, and it could have been a nice shot, but it was a foul, and Josh now has an open, well, not an open table, but he has the chance to create something, and it's, as I mentioned, still tricky. So you probably want to go from the 1 to the 2 into the side pocket, and then what angle do you want to have? Probably the angle where you can go really close to the 5 ball. Maybe even... Or what you could also do is play the 2 ball into the side pocket, bring the cue ball to the short rail and play another safety. So interesting little situation. Couple of options, I have to say. It depends on how he's feeling. Can't really tell what angle he has here. Looks straightish. Maybe he can actually bring the cue ball to the long rail and have a shot on the 4 ball. But speed control is really important here. You want to be basically frozen to the rail. But yeah, just overhit it a bit. Of course, he didn't have a lot of table time where he had open racks that he could run, so it's still very tricky to get a feel for the table. And I mean, he could play it rail first, kick it into the corner pocket, but you have to play that so soft, because otherwise the cue ball is gonna travel behind that 9 ball, so this is really tricky. And this is exactly what happened. I think he can't cut it into the pocket, into the corner pocket. Can he see an edge of it? Tricky one. I mean, the kick and stick, 1 rail is there. You can maybe even kick it into the corner pocket, into the side pocket. But this is not a situation I would love to be in. So very, very tricky. Okay, I think his plan is to kick it up table to the short rail. Have a chance to stick the cue ball behind. Oh, he's looking at... What he's looking at here? I can't really remember what happened here. I think he looked at the cue ball path here, so maybe he's trying to bring the cue ball behind the 8 ball. Yeah, that's what he did. I think that's what he was going for, but... Yeah, very unlucky, I have to say. Made that 5 ball, got the cue ball behind the 8 ball, and now hooked himself on the 7 ball. That's a shame. I think that was a good shot. Just a tad thinner on that 5 ball, and he gets the full safety. And now, yeah, I think even the 1 rail kick is not there, so he has to jump that ball. I mean, the good news is, if you jump it in, if you make it, then you are very likely to have a position on that 8 ball. But it's a really, really tricky shot. I mean, regarding the kick shot, what do you have? Especially with so little balls on the table. You could go maybe 2 rails, hit the cue ball to where about the template rack is right now. Go 2 rails. But then you're sending the balls into open space, so I think the jump shot is a very good shot selection here. And it was actually very, very close. But he left the 7 ball open. 7 ball just stops in time. And I remember this one. Even though I'm up 4-0, I have that 7 ball. I was a bit, I wouldn't say afraid of that one. But I didn't took it for granted. This is very important because this is still a missable ball. You have to roll it in, you have a bit of a cut. So you really want to focus on your fundamentals here and just trust in your aiming. You can see how long I'm staying down. I really took that one seriously. This is very, very important because even though, as I mentioned, it's 4-0 in favor of me, this match can switch with 1 or 2 silly mistakes on my side. And this game can completely switch, the momentum can switch. We all have been there. We had some great matches. We made 1 silly mistake and all of a sudden it completely changed. And this is what I want to avoid. So here a bit of a stretch. Good news is I just have to follow the cue ball. Just one rail, cue ball goes exactly into the line of the 9-ball. Just want to get a bit closer. I don't want to have a long 9-ball, and this is really, really nice. So I have to say, this is so far, or this has been so far, my best match, or one of my best matches I played at the Derby. Yes, I made a mistake here and there, but I really enjoyed playing this match, and this is what really mattered. Because I knew this could be my last match at the Derby, because the 9-ball division is always the last one that is played. So this actually could have been the last match, so I had the mindset in the beginning, hey, you're playing against Josh, you know him from YouTube, you know he's a nice guy, it's maybe your last match, you're downstairs, people are watching, just enjoy it, just celebrate playing pool in the USA, so far away from home at this big tournament, with the crowd, with all the people around, great players playing next to you. Just play the game, don't worry too much about what other people think about me, which usually is one of my biggest fears whenever I'm out there competing internationally, that people who know me from YouTube, the pool coach, the guy who's teaching other people how to play, that yeah, I just think too much about what people think of my game. So this is one very difficult thing of being this Sharivari guy that I'm getting more and more used to. But as I mentioned, in this match I just had the mindset, you know what, just play some pool, just enjoy yourself out there, just have some fun, and just see what happens at the table and try to solve every single puzzle, and this is what I've been doing so far. This was actually a good break, I have to say. If you watch the cue ball's reaction, I even got the cue ball, I think, into the 9-ball. Almost had a golden break. And yeah, looking good. Where is the 2-ball? It's down here. Okay, I see 9-ball doesn't go into the side pocket. Here, however, from the 2-ball, which is on the short rail, I have to be really careful. Because on that 3-ball, I want to have that angle that brings me to the 4-ball. The 4-ball is the one on the left. You can see by the lower left corner pocket. So I definitely have to at least get straight on the 3-ball or be on the right side. If I'm on the left, I'm going to have a very difficult time. And I just underhit it a tiny bit, but it's still okay. I mean, I could have maybe also gone for the side pocket, but I think I've just felt that one more in this case. And here, very important, you gotta be able to soft draw or soft stun or soft hold the cue ball. So a very soft stroke. This is really important skill. That I also discussed with 2 students that I had at the Derby, because I did some private coaching as well. You gotta be able to hit a stop shot as softly as possible, as well as draw shots. But whenever you're able to hit stop shots really soft by hitting as low as possible on the cue ball, you can hold the cue ball so much better. And this is exactly what I did here. Okay. It's not over yet. You can see the 9-ball is still tricky. So what I want to do is, I probably, because I'm thinking 3 balls ahead here, and I want to have that angle on the 8-ball, where I'm going towards the 9-ball and not away from the 9-ball. The problem is, if I'm just leaving the cue ball to the left of the 6-ball, I will not be able to bring the cue ball to the right side of the 8-ball. I hope that makes sense. It's very difficult to explain, but you will see in a minute what I'm trying to tell you. So I'm not hitting that ball too soft. You can see if the cue ball stops here, I have no chance. If the cue ball travels further, it was a bit too soft, I have a better chance to actually bring the cue ball exactly to here, because then I can go to the 9-ball, either to the short side or just try to freeze it to the long rail. So this was really important. So very important shot. If I get the wrong angle on the 8-ball, I have to work once again. Yeah, but speed control was tricky, and this is why I now went to the wrong side of the 8-ball. And the problem is, if I'm on the wrong side, I want to be a bit more on the wrong side to have it a bit more natural, because now I have a bit too little angle. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to go to short side of the 9-ball. This means you can see the cue ball travels this path. I have a good chance to get a nice shot on the 9-ball. So I want to go to the short rail, to the long rail, then hit the short rail probably 1 diamond away from the corner pocket and end up with a straight in shot on the 9-ball. But it's a bit of a stretch. I have to hit with a bit more force because, as I mentioned, I have a bit less angle than a comfort angle, ball in hand angle on the wrong side. I have to force the cue ball. I have to stretch. And because of that, I completely mishit the shot. Was actually thinking about that I'm scratching on the shot. I hit the long rail first, where I wanted to hit the short rail first. And I left myself with this makeable but tricky 9-ball. Yeah, it still doesn't pass into the side pocket. I have to play it into the corner pocket. And this is, once again, believe it or not, it's 5-0. It's a huge shot. I just have to make that because, first of all, it's winner break. Secondly, I don't want to let Josh into the game because I know what he's capable of. I know he can turn that match still. Especially at 5-1, it's just a 4-game difference with winner's break, not that big. But if I make that 9-ball, it's 6-0. So a very, very important 9-ball once again. And I luckily made it. And I know some of you maybe have the mindset, or when they're down on the shot, they're like, well, don't miss the 9-ball. Don't hit it too thick, don't hit it too thin. And all of this goes through their mind when they're down on the table. I have a couple of students who are struggling with that. But this is actually the wrong mindset. If you tell yourself that you don't want to do something, you actually see the picture of doing it wrong. So this means if you tell yourself, I don't want to hit it too fat, this means you're actually having the image in your mind where you're hitting it too fat, because your brain doesn't understand the don't. Your brain just sees in images. So if you're visualizing, you always want to visualize in a positive way. And this is exactly what I did here. When I was standing and when I was down on the shot, I just visualized that the 9-ball is going exactly along the rail into the heart of the pocket. And even if you then miss it, at least you gave yourself the best possible chance by just showing your brain, showing your body the image of what is supposed to happen, and then your brain can try to replicate that. If you actually have an image in mind of missing that shot, or hitting it too fat, hitting it too thin, then your brain is actually trying to replicate that, what you're seeing in your mind. This is why it's so important to always visualize in a positive way. Same for don't scratch into the side pocket, don't scratch into the corner pocket. If you have certain shots where the cue ball is going close to a pocket, if you tell yourself don't scratch, then your brain just sees the scratch and tries to replicate that. So this is why it's so important to always visualize in a positive way. Alright, let's have a look at this layout. I think there is a bit of a problem with the 5-9 here. And I don't have an open view on the 1-ball, so I definitely need to push out. What I could do is I could just push out to the short rail where I'm standing, leave him, Josh, a long shot, a straight in shot where he has a really difficult time to make the ball and bring the cue ball down table. I think in hindsight this probably would have been the better idea, because I fear that I'm now giving him too much options on the 1-ball. So, yeah, in hindsight, I think I would have pushed out to the short rail, to the other short rail where I was standing. So Josh is definitely going to play a safety here. Maybe the 1-ball between the 9 and the 2-ball. Yeah, something like that. And you can see that was a very makeable safety shot with a lot of good outcomes. So I think that was actually a bad decision, this kind of push. Can I see it? I maybe can curve it. I maybe can jump it. But it's a long jump. The 8-ball is a bit in the way for the 1-rail kick. kicking to the right, then avoiding the 7 ball and hitting the 1 ball is a bit more difficult to judge because the cue ball is closer to that rail, yeah. The thing I'm looking at right now, I don't really like that. So I think I'm going for the jump cue here. Trying to hit it from behind. But I gotta keep in mind, I have to jump a long rail. The cue ball is definitely going to jump a lot. So I might even jump the 1 ball off the table. I might even going to jump the cue ball off the table. I need to land very, very closely after the free ball that the cue ball actually has time to start rolling again. So a bit of a tricky jump shot. Let's see how that turns out. I can't remember what happened here. Oh, now I remember. So you can see the cue ball jumped. It jumped over the 1 ball off that short rail because it just was still too far in the air. And this is why I now made the foul and missed the shot. So once again, Josh has ball in hand, but he still has to work because the 5-9 is frozen. I think the 5 has no open pocket whatsoever. So he has to work once again. I mean, what you could do perhaps is you could actually try to open this problem from maybe the 2 ball, not from the 1 ball. I mean, you can open it from the 1 ball, but then you will definitely have a very difficult position if you have a position at all on the 2 ball. If you open it from the 2 ball and leave the cue ball somewhere in the area where the 5-9 is right now, then you have a good chance. But it's tricky. You can actually snooker yourself. You can save yourself behind either one of those balls. You can leave yourself a difficult long free ball. So I'm not too sure what he's about to do. Yeah, but even the safety, I think he has to open it right now because the safety is really, really tricky. And yeah, he has a shot on the free ball. So this actually turned out very, very good. And he even has the angle to go to the 4 ball, which is, I can't really tell, but it's probably the ball by the short rail here. So very good shot. And I gotta say, Josh definitely deserves an open table now, because he really had so many tricky layouts. And I got really lucky with how the break spread whenever I didn't make a ball. And now he's finally perfectly in line. Here I think you just wanna go 1 rail. You can also go 2 rails. Depends a bit on... Are you feeling more comfortable? Yeah, the good news is with the 2 rails you can just... You are not that dependent on playing a stun shot, so speed control is a lot easier. So I liked his decision. He ended up with a bit too much angle on the 5 ball, but here is where it's important once again to being able to play that soft stun shot, that soft stop shot, because that way you can hold. And he just played it a bit too hard. And he's in trouble once again. Cue ball, you can see he's shaking his head. That's unfortunate, really. Now he has to cue over that 9 ball. You can maybe go forward. I'm not too sure of the angle if you can go forward with inside spin, but this is still tricky with the elevation. Maybe you could go to the short rail and then to short side of the 8 ball. But you really have to elevate here. Or what he was trying to do, I'm not too sure. I think he was trying to go to short side. And now he ended up in a really bad spot. Very close to the 8 ball, 50-yard line. Corner pocket is almost impossible. I think side pocket would still be possible. I'm not too sure if you can play a safety here. If you just graze it really, really thin. Yeah, that's what he did. Good shot, good speed control. Got the full safety behind that 9 ball. Good news for me is I just have a 1 rail kick. and I definitely have to make contact with the 8 ball. And what I'm looking at here is I wanna hit one rail, the 8 ball, send it towards, yeah, probably the middle diamond on the long rail, leave the cue ball down table and bring the 8 ball towards the short rail. That's definitely the shot here. I'm not too sure yet. Now I'm looking at kicking the 8 ball into the side pocket. Yeah, that's an option. You could go for that. The only thing you have to keep in mind if you're going for that is if you're missing it, you're probably gonna sell out. Good news is, if you're hitting it a bit harder, you can maybe have the double bank or the one rail bank. I'm taking really a lot of time here. Yeah, I think at this point I wasn't convinced of what I should do yet. If I actually should take it on, or if I should take the bit safer, the bit higher percentage shot where I'm leaving the 8 ball on the short rail. Yeah, I think I'm actually, in hindsight, I'm taking a bit too much time. I should have made a clear decision before then. You can see one rail bank, two rail bank, double bank. Just a bit too soft. That was close. That was really close. You can see this is why you want to play that type of shot with a bit more speed, because you can get lucky. But I think it was the wrong decision and I took a bit too much time on that shot. Maybe. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. The 8 ball is on the far left of the pocket. It's still cuttable, but controlling the cue ball is a bit difficult. And he wanna pass the 9 ball. He bumps into the 9 ball. You can see cue ball control was a bit difficult, but here it is. Open shot into the side pocket, and it's 6-1. I remember that look on his face. That was a funny one. Yeah, it was a great match. I really enjoyed it so far, even though I know I got a bit lucky sometimes, but I also played some good shots, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know if 6-1 is actually fair. It could have been a bit closer. Yeah, definitely a bit closer. Maybe 5-3 or something like that. Yeah, but match is not over yet. So let's see how Josh is breaking the balls. By the way, you should definitely check out his YouTube channel. I really like watching his attitude on the table and in front of the camera, his presence. Whenever I'm watching videos of him, I really have the urge to play some pool, to go to the table and just practice and play some pool. So he's a very, very positive attitude at the table. Josh, I didn't have the chance to tell you that at the derby, but I really like your videos. All right, I have an open shot on that 1 ball. It's tricky though, and I have to play a combination on a 2-8 afterwards, because I don't think I can get to the left side of the 2 ball. And then I have the problem with the 6-7. I remember this shot. I probably should have gone for the safety. I mean, yeah, you can take it on. I mean, it's okay to take it on. But I remember when I was down, I didn't really feel it. But I still pulled the trigger. So, kind of a mental mistake. And because of that, I completely butchered the shot. I missed it by a mile, to be honest. So yeah, very, very important lesson. Even it happens to me sometimes. You're down on the shot, you have that bad feeling, you have that image in your mind that you're going to miss it a certain way, and you don't stand up. Very, very huge mental mistake, especially for beginners and intermediate players. But it happens to everyone from time to time. And it was a good shot. Wasn't that easiest 1 ball. Just a bit too low, just a bit too much left spin. Tried to go to the short side here, I assume. I definitely tried to go to the short side. So now he's finding himself in trouble once again. Maybe it's still cuttable into the corner pocket. to the one at the top right, but cue ball is gonna go wild. Safety is also a bit tricky. Maybe if you just graze the 2-ball fin, leave the cue ball, yeah, something like that behind that 4-ball. That's nice. That's a good shot, but I think I have a 1-rail kick shot left on that 2-ball. So now the big question is, how do I want to hit it? I mean, in the best case, I'm bringing it towards the short rail, to the middle diamond, but the 5-ball is a bit in the way. That's gonna be a bit tricky, and I think if I'm doing it that way, the cue ball is might also going to drift a bit too far to the right. So let's see how this one turns out. And once again, kicked the ball in. I think that was the third kick shot I kicked in. Wasn't my intention, but I think it would have turned out pretty okay. I think the 2-ball would have probably gone behind that 4-ball. But still, tricky one here. The 3-ball doesn't pass because of the 5-ball, I remember that. So I have to come up with a safety. And there's a very obvious safety. I want you to pause the video right now and think about the safety. Did you have that one in mind, where you just send the 3-ball to the short rail and bring the cue ball behind the 4, 3-ball maybe behind the 5. This was a very, very simple safety, but not that obvious to many players. I've talked about that kind of shot with a couple of also advanced players from my local pool hall that didn't see that shot. I mean, yes, I left the 1-rail kick, but I didn't leave anything open. If the cue ball was a bit more to the right, that 1-rail kick would have not been open. Okay, good news is the 6-7 is now solved, but I don't have an open shot. So what I'm trying to do here is, do I want to bring the 3-ball behind the 6-7, leave the cue ball on the left? Oh, interesting one. Try to graze the 3-ball on the right side. Didn't catch it thin enough. Was a bit of a delicate shot. Maybe you could have played something else here, to be honest. But at least I didn't leave anything open. But of course I left Josh an open shot on the 3-ball so he can do something. The only good news is the 8-ball is blocking a bit of the 3-ball path if you want to send the 3-ball to the short rail once again. So this is gonna be tricky. Yeah, you can see the 8-ball was in the way, but he still played it good enough. Cue ball is on the short rail. That's what he tried to do. I think he took that contact with the 8-ball. Had an educated guess that the 3-ball is still, was still gonna stay down there. And this is a tricky one. I remember that we had to take a ref for that one, or I suggested to take a ref because they're so close to each other. So yeah. It's hard to tell in hindsight, so this is why you can always take a ref into play whenever you're playing tournaments like that. So what I could do is, I'm a bit afraid of the scratch of that 6-ball. If I'm catching that 3-ball, trying to send it, maybe once again to the short rail. Then the cue ball hits the 6-ball, follows, and might actually is gonna follow into the corner pocket. I mean, the conservative shot would be to just send that 3-ball into that direction and leave it on the left middle diamond on the long rail, where the tip of my cue is right now. Yeah, but it's tricky. It's a tricky little shot. So we still have to wait for the ref. By the way, I will very likely, I think I've told you before, I will be very likely to be back in the USA this year, probably in Jacksonville, for some clinics. If you're interested in those clinics, then maybe leave a comment down below, let me know. Or if you want to have a spot, maybe reach out to me via contact@sharivari.net via email. There's nothing in stone yet. It's just an idea I had. I actually wanted to do some clinics for this trip as well, but it was just everything was a bit too short term, so I didn't have the time to arrange all of that with the different pool halls, with the registry, with the payment and all that stuff. So this is why it didn't happen this time and why I just did some private one-on-one coaching lessons. But just let me know. All right, let's have a look. Is it a good hit? It wasn't a good hit because I hit the 9-ball first, so we probably would not have needed a referee for that. Yeah, really bad shot. Here, it's still a bit tricky. Look at that 6-7. You need to get a nice angle on that 6. What you could do is, if you just bring that cue ball all the way to the long rail where Josh's elbow is right now, then you can play that 6, but it's very tricky to get to there. Or you can go to a bit, center table-ish, maybe a bit more up table, and just play the 6-ball and the 7-ball into the same pocket. But we will see how this turns out. He has the perfect position now. He can just go one rail, you can see, and from that long rail you can alter the direction of the cue ball. So this is a very common shot. This is a great position. Whenever you have the chance, you can just change the cue ball's path with low, with high, and also with some right spin. That's nice. That's really good. He has enough angle where he doesn't have to do too much with the cue ball, just a tad of right spin probably. You want to avoid the 9-ball, you want to avoid the side pocket scratch. And, he didn't avoid the 9-ball. Maybe also just a tad too much angle. And, I mean, it's still cuttable here, but you can also play the safety. He went for the safety. Okay, I see he tried to bring the 7-ball to the long rail on the left side. I think he played it a bit too quick, to be honest, but I don't blame him. The match definitely isn't going his way. He had a good chance to make it 6-2. Ran into the 9-ball, then played it a bit too quick in my opinion, and made this mistake here. But yeah, once again, I don't blame him. We've all been there. So let's see what I'm about to do with that 7-ball. And I know in this stage or in this situation, because every single match you're playing is like a battle, so I definitely have to make that 7-ball, because I think I've noticed that he played that a bit fast, that he is a bit annoyed at that point. So I definitely have to punish this mistake by making that 7-ball. It's not the easiest shot in the world. It's a bit off angle, it's a bit tricky to make. You have to soft draw the ball, but I definitely have to make that ball to keep that momentum going. Because if I'm missing the shot, I'm leaving him on open table, he's running those 3 balls, the opponent is very likely to forget about those mistakes, and you wanna make your opponent remember his mistakes. This is very important, because this, as I mentioned, is also a mental battle that everyone is fighting. And it's strange because people tend to only remember mistakes that get punished. If you don't get punished, you don't usually remember your mistakes, which is maybe something we develop naturally, I don't know, as human beings. But this is why it's so important to punish mistakes. And it's really interesting, because if you look at, let's say, an intermediate player or an advanced player, and he's playing a match against a player that is maybe, not playing as good as him. And he's playing that match, let's say it's a race to 5, he's winning 5-3, he made like 10 mistakes, but the mistakes weren't punished, and this is why he won 5-3. Then usually the player says, well, I won that match, I played pretty solid, there's nothing to work on, everything's fine, I played a good match. But now, take that player and let him play against a better player, and let him make maybe just 8 mistakes, but he's losing the match 5-3. All of a sudden he's like, well, I made too many mistakes, I lost the match, I played bad. Even though he made less mistakes. And this is very important, that you are able, whenever you are analyzing your matches in post, that you really have a realistic view of the match, of your game, how it went. Because you can easily forget all of the mistakes you made when you don't get punished, and vice versa if you're playing against stronger players. I hope, it's very difficult to describe, I hope I made this point clear. Alright, very good break. I got a bit lucky with the one ball and I have an open table. The only tricky part I'm seeing here is getting position on that free ball, because I just have a small window. Good news is I don't have to move the cue ball too much from the two ball, but I need a good angle on the two ball to have it as easy as possible to get a good position or get a position on that free ball. Of course, the closer I am to that two ball with the right angle, the easier it gets. This looks pretty solid. This looks pretty nice. You can see I'm trying to figure out the window. I remembered what I was doing here is I took a spot on the table. You can see right now I saw that spot, this tiny dirt mark or chalk mark on the table, and while I was walking around I tried to focus that chalk mark that I know where I want to bring the cue ball. So I had an indication on the table where the cue ball has to be. This is a really nice trick that you can use to visualize the cue ball's position a lot better. And here I already knew, because I saw the chalk mark and how closely the cue ball traveled to the chalk mark, I immediately knew this is perfect position. Okay, two options. I could go for the four ball into the corner pocket, into the lower left from our perspective, or I can just draw the cue ball a bit more, go for the side pocket. Problem with the side pocket is I'm a bit more dependent on the right angle. And this is exactly what happens, because I'm just a bit off. This could have been so easy if I'm straight in. I'm just rolling the ball in, straight in shot on the 6 ball, stop shot on the 6, stop shot on the 7, stop shot on the 9. But now I'm having the angle where the cue ball is going towards the 6 ball. Yeah, I'm trying to stun the cue ball between the 6 and the 9, going for the 6 into the side, but this is really tricky. So now I have to make the cue ball run into the 6 ball, bump the 6 ball towards the corner pocket, don't leave the cue ball behind the 9 ball. I don't want to hit it too fat, I don't want to hit it too thin, so a very tricky shot now. And all of this just because the cue ball is like one revolution too far to the left or down table here. Just caught it a tiny bit too thin. Otherwise it would have been perfect, and now I have to elevate over the 6 ball. So this becomes missable all of a sudden. You can see how those tiny differences in cue ball control can make such a big difference. Okay, good news is I know if I'm making that ball, I have that in mind. I'm not trying to miss the ball, but I have kind of a insurance, if I'm missing that ball, that the 9 ball might be a blocking ball and leave Josh in a safe or snooker Josh. Overcut it, and you can see this is exactly what happened. This is why I'm not apologizing. This is why I had this in mind, that if I'm missing that ball, the 9 ball is a very good blocking ball. Of course, I would have loved to make that ball. I would have loved to have another break and run. But yeah, I'm giving him a chance to make something happen on the table. I think the curve shot is too difficult at that point. He has to curve way too much, either to the left or to the right. That's very tricky. So probably the one rail kick shot from the short rail, or also the free rail kick shot would maybe be on. Yeah, I think both shots are equally good. I think the one rail is maybe a bit easier to judge, and if you hit it with the right speed, you can actually have some more cue ball movement and bring the cue ball a couple of rails around. Fortunately, he didn't hit it. Played a foul, and the only good news is The 7 ball only has the pocket into the lower upper left corner pocket. So what I'm doing here is, yeah, I could play this path, or I could play from here as a left-handed player. I think I'm going for the draw shot here, just because the cue ball can't get that far away from me if I'm playing it from the other position where I'm going into the long rail and then towards the center of the table. Here I can even overdraw the cue ball a bit and I will still have a shot for a very long time. But this was perfect speed control, I think. Just a bit of a draw shot, playing the 9 ball into the same corner pocket. And if I'm making the 9 ball, I'm on the hill. Yeah, as I mentioned, get a bit lucky from time to time. This time I had it in mind with the 9 ball, but yeah, I left him sometimes in a bit of a tricky position after the break when the cue ball, or when I even scratched. So yeah, it should have been a lot closer than 8-1, to be honest. But I have to say, I felt pretty good. I just enjoyed myself. I know I didn't play flawlessly. I made some mistakes, but I just had a great time. Break could have been a bit better, of course. This is one of the mistakes, or one of the flaws I definitely had. Couldn't figure really the break out. That was a bit tricky. Should have probably take some time at night and go to the practice table and work a bit on my break. This is what I should have also done for the banks, because you really have to adapt to those diamond tables, which are really, really great tables, but they're playing really, really differently to what I'm used to be playing here in Germany. And by the way, I haven't told you yet, a huge thank you to Diamond, to Digital Pool, and to the Derby City Classic for providing me with those video files for my matches. I really appreciate it. Check them out in the video description. I've put all the links in the video description, so huge thank you goes out to you guys. I mean, from the cue ball's reaction, this wasn't that bad of a break, to be honest. Didn't make a ball though, but this probably is what's supposed to happen and what you're seeing all the time when the pros are breaking. The cue ball goes to the right, either hits the 9 ball or travels really, really closely to the 9 ball. But once again, you can see I didn't leave anything. The 1 ball probably doesn't pass the 3 ball, and if it does, it's very tricky to get position on the 2 ball. And yeah, Josh played the bank here, and I really don't blame him, because he has to make something happen at this point. He has to play kind of a hero shot, play that bank shot, get position on the 2 ball, and then just get loose, get in stroke. I mean, it's 8-1. You have to force it somehow at one point. And yeah, this is why he went for the bank probably. I have 2 options. I could either go for the 2-rail kick it from behind. That's a bit tricky though to judge. And I can also jump it. The big question is, on the jump, what can I do? Maybe send the 1 ball down table, or to the short rail where I'm standing, but the 4 ball is a bit of a blocker. It's tricky. Oh, I hit it from behind. Was this intentional? I don't really know if this was intentional. But I left it open. Now, does the 2 ball pass? You can see Josh is looking at it. Doesn't pass. Or if it does, it's very, very close. And the problem is you can't really do a lot with the cue ball here on the 1 ball, so you can just leave yourself straight. And this is why he decided to play a safety. It was a good shot. Unfortunately, he left that gap open. And I can see the 1 ball. So what I'm trying to do here is... I mean, I don't have a lot to do. I don't have a lot of space to work with the 1 ball. But I think I can hit it in a way that the 1 ball goes back through the gap between the 4 and the 5. And the cue ball might end behind the 2 ball, the 5 ball or the 9 ball, as well as the 1 ball. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's exactly how I've visualized that shot. Now it's very tricky to hit that. I think the only chance you have is the 2-rail kick shot here, meaning hitting on the short rail, down table here where the 9 ball text is, lower left corner pocket, short rail, long rail, and then make contact with the 1 ball. Or of course you have to jump, that's also a valid option. The thing is, however, if you're going that 2-rail path, and if you make a foul, you might actually push the 2 ball into open space. Because the 2 ball is very, very tricky to reach at that moment. And this is why Josh decided to take the intentional foul, send the 1 ball away from the 2 ball, which makes it more difficult for me. Now I'm having a look at the 2 ball. You can see it's not clear if it goes. It's very, very tricky. And getting to the other side is also very, very tricky. Would have basically have to bring the cue ball somewhere where the 8 is right now. Once again, checking the 2 ball. So it was actually a clever shot by Josh, the intentional foul. I mean, he could have also played the jump shot. That's right, to not give myself ball in hand and also bring the 1 ball away. So I'm going 2 rails towards here, and this is a sign that the 2 ball probably goes. I remember, of course, and it's awfully close. That's why I'm checking so often. When you have to play those type of shots, by the way, where it's really close, you just want to blend out that 4 ball in that case. You just want to know which part of the pocket you can hit, and then ignore the 4 ball and just try to send the ball into that part of the pocket. And you can see it went to the very left of the pocket. A bit out of line here. The 6 ball is probably going to interfere if I'm going for that follow with right spin, because I have to hit hard. Remember, the cue ball is going to follow the tangent line first. So I'm not too sure if I could have played that with high right. This is why I'm going for low right here. Still want to avoid that 6. Was awfully close, but I avoided it. Cue ball has to go off the rail, and you can see I'm not happy with the position because I have a tiny bit of an angle to the right, and this doesn't do me any favor, so I really have to punch that one out, which I did, and even hit it a bit too soft. I mean, I have an open shot into the corner pocket, but it's a bit tricky. If I'm hitting that 9 ball, this is no good. If I want to put a bit of low onto the cue ball, avoiding the 9 ball, I can easily scratch. So this is a very, very, very delicate shot. I have to time that 100% properly. Otherwise, I can give myself a very, very difficult shot afterwards. So once again, want to visualize the line. Want to prepare the shot. Look where I have to cut it, visualizing once again, and now just try to execute it exactly the way. And once again, I don't want to think about not scratching or not hitting the 9, I'm just thinking about hitting the right point on the rail. This is very important. Visualize in a positive way and trust in yourself and in what you decided to do, in your alignment, in your aiming, in your decision. Once you made a decision, once you're going down, once you're preparing the shot, trust is really, really everything. It's really important. You can make all the right decisions, you can aim right, you can prepare 100% right. If you don't trust in yourself and what you're doing on the table, you're gonna make so many mistakes. Punched it out. Was a bit risky with the 9-ball, but I knew I looked before where the cue ball can be, so I almost had a shot on the 7-ball all the time. And once again, going back to the mental side, there are so many mental lessons I've learned over the years as a competitive pool player, and also once again during the derby. And what I did is, whenever I was at tournaments, I did a voice recording of myself, or telling myself what went wrong, what went right on my way home from the tournament. I've collected all those voice recordings, made a big package out of it with a video for each lesson. I have 12 key lessons that I've collected over the years that I've learned, and I put all those lessons into a package, the Mental Edge 12 key lessons for competitive pool players. And if you're interested in that one, check the link in the video description to get that package. And meanwhile, I made this 9-ball, made a great out in the final rack, and it was a really fun match. Thanks again to Josh for being such a great opponent. Had a lot of fun. Once again, shout out to everyone I met at the derby. And if you want to see more, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. See you at the next lesson. Take care.